Hey y'all, and welcome to Politibrawl. My name is Brian, and Tom Cotton calls out the entire federal government for its terrible mismanagement of not just FEMA resources, but how it's using money for migrants instead of American citizens. This is wild. But before we dive in, I want to give a quick shout out to our great sponsors over at Colonial Metals Group. They quite literally have the cure to Bidenflation and Harris economics, but more on that later. As for now, let's dive in.
Do you think Donald Trump should leave campaign politics out of disaster relief?
Well, no, Kristen, again, you have Governor Kemp who said that the response has been lacking. I understand the Democratic governor of North Carolina is going to praise Joe Biden and Kamala Harris in the middle of an election season. But the simple fact is we're more than a week on. We're still not conducting recovery operations. They're still engaged in rescue operations because Kamala Harris and Joe Biden were slow to answer the bell here. They were slow-footed and they were overmatched by events. You even had the Secretary of Homeland Security saying there's not enough money left in the fund. So it is the case that the administration itself, the secretary who oversees FEMA, has said there's not enough money left in the fund, and they have been spending billions of dollars for the last 4 years to move migrants from our border, to put them up in hotels and give them room service and maids. That's simply a fact.
But those funds are coming from a different federal fund, not from disaster relief, just to be clear. And what DHS Secretary Mayorkas said is that it has the money it needs for now, but not necessarily through the end of the year for future hurricanes. So there is a discussion about more funding. You're right about that. But look, Henry McMaster, the Republican governor of South Carolina, said federal assistance has been superb. Glenn Youngkin said he's incredibly appreciative of the rapid response. And again, Brian Kemp on Monday, at least in part, said we got what we need, while also saying, yes, there are some more things that we would like to see here in the state. My broader question to you, I think, is about this misinformation. Do you think this is a time to put falsehoods aside, like the idea that FEMA funds are being redirected to migrants, which is just not true?
Well, it is true that FEMA and the Department of Homeland Security have been spending billions of dollars on migrants. Now, I understand some people say they're separate funds, but we just passed a short-term spending bill. It's very common for the administration to come and ask for permission to move money between funds, especially to prepare for emergencies. And second, I would note that this administration seems to have no problem finding money when they want to spend it on their priorities. When they need hundreds of billions of dollars to pay off student loans for graduate students in gender studies programs, they somehow find it. When it's trying to get helicopters to deliver food and water and cellular service and life-saving medicine into these mountain valleys, they somehow can't seem to find the money.
The longer I live, the more I see the mismanagement. The more I look at the situation, and I have to come to this conclusion. Our government hates us, all right? And I'm not talking about us as in one specific group of people. I'm talking about the average American citizen. I'm talking about y'all. I'm talking about everyone, every red-blooded American, all 330 million of us who are either naturalized citizens, were born here, or want to become Americans. These funds that we keep seeing mismanaged time and time and time again. And congratulations, FEMA did the bare minimum. That's the problem. It's the bare minimum. This is America. Land of the free, home of the brave. This should be the shining city on a hill that all the other nations look to and go, yeah, we want to be like that. That should be the standard. But no, that's not what happens. Hurricane Helene came in and just devastated a huge swath of America, from the Florida Panhandle all the way into the Great Smoky Mountains. You can quite literally see the before and after pictures of satellite imagery, and you can see the path of destruction. And this is something worse than Sherman burning Atlanta and marching to the sea. I can say that as a Georgia boy. What we have seen is a gross misallocation of our funds, of our tax dollars, of the money that you and I have given to our federal government. Hey y'all, I'm not exactly looking at retirement anytime soon, but my parents are, and friends of my parents are, and I'm sure either you or someone you know is looking at retirement and wondering, what do I do? How do I help prepare for this in this economy with this terrible president and with a vice president who basically coup d'etat him and is now looking to run for president herself? How do you protect against this? Well, simple. you go over to my friends at Colonial Metals Group. They quite literally have something called the Retirement Package Plan. This plan backs your wealth with gold and silver accounts. And furthermore, you will have direct access to these accounts. So you're not at the whims of Wall Street. You're not at the whims of inflation. You are in command of your own destiny. As a bonus, qualified applicants can receive up to $10,000 in free silver, plus a couple of other little goodies that they're going to package up for you, and you're going to be able to protect your wealth and your retirement. So go over to this link in the description below at colonialmetalsgroup.com or call this number 800-203-0422 and see how they can help you prepare for retirement today by backing your account with gold and silver. Don't delay your retirement, folks. Protect the money that you earned with Colonial Metals Group. They're here to help. Only to see it mismanaged and given to people who are not citizens. Given to nations like Ukraine, Israel, and to other kinds of foreign aid. Granted, we usually make that money back, all right? It's like the auto bailouts, and it's like the bank bailouts in 2008. That money was actually paid back. And that's the long story about Ukraine. We give them a lot of money so they can buy our stuff, which raises stocks, which creates jobs. Ultimately, we make that money back. This money we don't make back. And I'm okay with that. Because it's good to allocate funds for major disasters. Like, for instance, I don't know, a hurricane that brought historic flooding to mountain towns across East Tennessee, Western North Carolina, South Georgia, all throughout South Carolina, and of course where the hurricane itself hit initially in the Florida Panhandle. That's what these funds are supposed to do. But no, Tom Cotton is out here reminding the audience, reminding you and me, that these funds have shifted hands, often without the knowledge or consent of Congress. Because the Biden administration cares more about bringing in illegal migrants and putting them up in luxury hotels in New York City while letting the average taxpayer, the average Joe, to just sit it out and weather the storm. This is infuriating. Like I said, I don't like saying the words, our government hates us. But it seems like they do. It seems like they do. The money that we have saved up, the money that we pay into our taxes, doesn't seem like it goes back to help the American taxpayer. It seems that time and time again, that instead of going to us, the people of the United States, it goes to foreign nationals, it goes to migrants, it changes hands without Congress knowing. And Tom Cotton doesn't say things that he doesn't know, all right? He's one of my favorite senators in that regard. He's the policy wonk. He's the guy that just understands how things work up there in D.C. I mean, if it does work at all up there. Ugh. I've been in 2 state capitals, and I live not far from the U.S. Capitol building. I've seen how the sausage is made when it comes to legislation. And I can tell you that the President of the United States constantly oversteps his, and right now it seems like her, because it's either Kamala Harris or it's Joe Biden running the show. It's not the first time that the wife of a president has taken over. This happened during Woodrow Wilson, and granted, we don't like Woodrow Wilson on this channel either. We despise him, even though he's a fellow Georgian. He was one of our worst presidents because he overstepped his bounds constantly and destroyed the Constitution in order to get his goals. This is a Democrat hallmark that just pops up time and time and time again. And doesn't matter who seems to be in office. Every time we elect a Democrat, it seems that more of our liberties end up withering away. More of our cultural institutions end up turning this grotesque leftist direction, this cultural Marxism that just keeps seeping into the system. And now the average American is left hanging out to dry because the FEMA funds have been drained by terrible management. We can expect only more of this if Harris wins in November. My heart goes out to these people because, like I said, I'm a Southern boy. I'm from Georgia. I've driven around sort of the devastated areas. I've seen a small glimpse of just how bad things are. We now have another hurricane threatening Tampa Bay, and there might even be another system after that. That is how rough this hurricane season has been. And you'd think that FEMA would look at a La Nina inevitability and instead of giving funds to migrants who aren't American citizens, might hold back and wait just in case. But no, they haven't, they won't, and they will never do so until actual change occurs. That is how bad our administrative state is. That is how much contempt they have for red states and the average American. This needs to change. Folks, my name is Brian. Hope you enjoyed that segment here on Politibrawl. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Catch you on the next one. And until then, y'all have a good one.